month of Ramadan is a period in which Muslims are encouraged to double their efforts in acts of worship. One of such acts is feeding the poor and the needy. This will be the focus of our discussion this afternoon. I am Sadia Umardigi. Welcome to Panorama from Sokoto Network Center. President Muhammadu Buhari is back in Abuja after his medical vacation in the United Kingdom, promising to sustain efforts at enhancing national unity, stability and prosperity. The president, who spoke to NTA News at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, described his medical checkup as fulfilling. State House correspondent reports.
President Muhammadu Buhari alighted the Nigerian Air Force 001 aircraft that brought him from London at 4:45 Thursday evening. On hand to receive him at the presidential wing of the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport were the Ministers of Defense Bashir Magashi and that of the FCT Muhammad Musa Bello, the Chief of Staff to the President Professor Ibrahim Gambari, and the National Security Advisor Babagana Munguno. Others include the service chiefs led by the Chief of Defense Staff, the new Acting Inspector General of Police Usman Alkali, the Director General, Department of State Services Yusuf Magaji Bichi, and other senior government officials. Speaking to NTA News shortly on arrival, President Buhari said his reported medical checkup went well and indeed fulfilling. So having been refreshed after your well-deserved rest in London, what will Nigerians expect from your administration going forward?
Continuity.
While in London, you appointed the new Inspector General of Police. What do you expect from him?
He knows his job. He has been in it for a long time. He went through all the training. He has the necessary experience. So we have high expectations from him.
Before you traveled to London, you met twice with the new EFCC chairman. What have been your instructions to him? What did you tell him?
I can't tell you what I tell EFCC chairman. Next question.
Are you satisfied with the performance of the new service chiefs, Your Excellency?
Oh, yes. They have been in the system all the way. They know what is wrong. They know what is right. And I think they are doing their best. I hope their best will be good enough for Nigeria. President
Buhari spent 15 days in London, the British capital, during the visit, which was his first since January 2020. In Abuja, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has called on world leaders to take into account the principle of fairness, which he advocates must be applied by leaders in addressing challenges in health, the economy, and other issues. This was at a virtual forum organized by an American university, Liberty University, with the theme Equity for Africa, Transforming the World Through Judeo-Christian Values. Jide Onifadi tells us more.
In a fairer world that takes into account the interest of the poor, the marginalized, and a world that does not impose unfair parties on developing countries, it is imperative that leaders must be fair to all, says Vice President Yemi Osinbajo.
Especially to people of faith, that it's important to strive to build a fairer world, one which takes into account the interests of the poor and the marginalized. And I think what this may mean is how the world will not impose unfair burdens on developing countries, especially where global cooperation is required.
The Vice President restates his earlier call on some multilateral agencies planning to defund gas projects to review their position, noting that it's worrisome and should be dropped.
Well, we think that a fair transition from fossil fuels to cleaner fuels, or for that matter, to non-fossil fuel-based energy, would involve allowing gas projects, especially in countries such as ours, in a phased process, that will lead eventually to only renewable energy.
Speaking about the prospect for greater advancement in Africa, Vice President Osinbajo noted that there was no gainsaying that in order for Africa to actualize its potential, it must work with friends, especially those of faith, to identify strategic opportunities to bring about growth and prosperity in the continent. In the State House, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
The Senate Committee on Establishment and Public Service has assured the National Pension Commission that it will interface with key government officials to clear pension liability towards prompt pension payment of pensions. This assurance was given at an oversight to the Commission by members of the committee. Dayo Owushola reports.
This aid was in continuation of the committee's oversight to agencies of government, explaining efforts being put in place by PENCOM to ease the burden of pension liability in Nigeria. Director General of the Commission affirmed that more grants have been covered.
There's also the lack of payment on the pension protection levy. It's not only government that pays that. Government just pays 1% of its total monthly wage bill. PENCOM contributes towards the payment and the operators. So PENCOM has been keeping money aside, and the operators also have been. But it has not taken off because government has not paid its own 1%.
If I were to be the president, I see agencies being given 11 billion. I think I'll be surprised if they complain. But if I know what is outstanding, then I'll appreciate that 11 billion is a far cry from what should be given. So I think we're going to facilitate this through the leadership.
At the Federal Civil Service Commission, an overview of the Commission's activities was presented, with requests for more legislative supports.
This Commission will appreciate any intervention that will increase the size of our capital envelope, as well as streamline the process of appointments, promotion and discipline of officers into the public service.
Members of the committee raised concerns on issues relating to unemployment, promotion of civil servants, with a resolve for more collaborative efforts. In Abuja, Dayo Owushola, NTA News.
Successful fight against drug trafficking and other related drug dealings will in no small way help in reducing funding for insurgency. Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed stated this when he granted audience to the chairman of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, General Buba Marwa, retired in Abuja. Anthony Forson reports.
Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed, while commending the NDLEA chairman for the successes recorded in his 3 months in office, said with the rate the agency is clamping down on drug traffickers around the country, there is hope that Nigeria may soon overcome some of the security challenges it is facing.
It is common knowledge that drug money can be used and is being used to finance insurgency and terrorism. A successful fight against drug trafficking will therefore help to deny or reduce funding for terrorism and insurgency.
The minister assured the NDLEA chairman of his readiness to partner with the agency by supporting its drug war with enlightenment and advocacy.
And will not be out of place for the ministry working with the NDLEA to launch a national campaign against drug trafficking and use of illicit drugs.
Lai Mohammed, however, commended General Buba Marwa for raising the bar of the agency, which has attracted global support and commendation in its drug war. Chairman of the agency, General Buba Marwa, told the minister that Nigeria is faced with a crisis of drug dependency, as over 15 million Nigerians are hooked on it.
Recently, I'm happy to say, through our intelligence-based operations, we were able to arrest some of these drug traffickers, one who is Nigerian and another Chadian, who are supplying drugs to the insurgents and the bandits. Those are still with us, and the investigation to get the root of the trafficking chain is in process.
He said in 3 months, the agency has intercepted drugs and cash worth 75 billion naira, arrested over 2,000 traffickers, prosecuting about 5,000 cases, and secured 300 convictions. In Abuja, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
Sultan Muhammad Saad Abubakar has advocated for a holistic approach to checkmate importation of hard drugs into the country. The Sultan was speaking when he received on courtesy call the Commandant NDLEA Sokoto Barrister Johnson Okoko. Sheikh Muhammad Detti completes the report.
The Sultan was emphatic on the need to checkmate the importation and consumption of drugs in the country. He urged the commandant to fight the menace with full force, regardless of whoever is involved. Sultan Muhammad Saad spoke on the urgent need to address the activities of politicians giving drugs to political thugs. Commandant Sokoto Command of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, Barrister Johnson Okoko, informed the Sultan that he was at the palace to solicit for cooperation, support, and blessings. He described the fight against drug importation and consumption as a serious one that needs the support of all and sundry. Okoko noted that they are focusing on the importation of drugs into the state and the dealers of the drugs.
It's not only an issue for the NDLA. All other security agencies, they feed us with information, and then we go all out to arrest dealers, and then try to rehabilitate, counsel those who are users, because we see them as victims.
The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency boss was in company of his lieutenants at the visit. In Sokoto, Shehu Muhammad Detti, NTA News.
Now, enrollment of more than 5,000 persons with disability in Sokoto State into the Free Basic Healthcare Provision Fund has commenced. Shehu Muhammad Detti reports that the program is the initiative of the federal government in collaboration with Sokoto State government. The report.
The Free Basic Healthcare Provision Fund is a program introduced some months ago by the federal government to achieve universal health coverage. This time, the program is to cover persons with disabilities to enable them enjoy better health care. Drawn from the 23 local government areas, the beneficiaries are being enrolled to enable them have access to free medical service provided by the government.
I have confidence in my mind that this program, sustainability plan, is already in place. All that is needed is the commitment of the people that will be serving these people.
Because they are kind of people which we look at them as if they are not important to the society, whereas they are.
Some of the beneficiaries enrolled in the program commended the federal and state governments for bringing healthcare services to their doorsteps.
This program is very good.
The enrollment exercise is expected to last for a week. In Sokoto, Shehu Muhammad Detti, NTA News.
Panorama continues in a moment. Don't go away. I'm back. The National Center for Disease Control has confirmed 80 new cases of COVID-19 as of Thursday, the 15th of April 2021. 12 cases are accounting for the new cases, with Lagos leading with 29 cases, followed by Rivers with 19 cases, and Zamfara has 6 cases. Others are Akwa Ibom, Edo, Osun, and Plateau with 4 cases each, while Ogun and Kano have 3 cases each. Nasarawa, FCT, and Oyo states have 1 case each. This brings the total number of confirmed cases in the country to 164,080, with 154,285 discharged and 2,061 deaths recorded. And now to our discussion segment. I have with me in the studio Dr. Sani Aliyu Sagir, an Islamic scholar, to discuss on assisting the poor and the needy. So, welcome to our studio.
Thank you.
So, sir, the fasting Muslim is encouraged to engage in acts of worship to earn Allah's mercy. What are some of those acts?
Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalam ala man la nabiyya ba'da. Actually, the month of Ramadan is the month of blessing, and there are a lot of acts of worship that a fasting Muslim is being encouraged to engage in. These include 1, participating in the fasting itself, because it's a wajib, it's an obligatory to all Muslims, and then 2, attending the congregation prayers on time, and then 3, putting effort in reciting the Holy Quran. If it is possible, it is recommended at least for a Muslim to recite the Holy Quran during the month of Ramadan from the beginning, from the Surah Al-Fatiha to the end, to the Surah Al-Nas. And if he can do more than once, then he can do up to 2 times, 3 times, pending on his time. Then in addition to that, there is also need for assisting the needy, the poor, in the month of Ramadan, and all other acts of ibadat that are recommended by Islam. One has to double his effort in Ramadan for seeking the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
All right. And so feeding the poor and the needy is one of those acts of worship.
Of course, yes.
What is the significance?
Yeah, it has a lot of significance. One of the significance is that as a Muslim generally, the Quran encourages us to assist each other. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, وَتَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْبِرِّ وَالتَّقْوَى وَلَا تَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْإِثْمِ وَالْعُدْوَانِ, that you should help one another in the act of taqwa and righteousness, and do not assist each other in the act of sinfulness, something that is sin. Then you should not assist one another and the transgression. So going by this verse, whether in the month of Ramadan or not in the month of Ramadan, one is recommended to be assisting each other as Muslim brothers, more especially during the month of Ramadan. Now, in the month of Ramadan, again, if you give the iftar, that is according to an authentic hadith of the tradition, an authenticated tradition of the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, says, anyone that give a fasting Muslim iftar, something to eat, no matter how small, to break his fast, then he will be given reward, same with the fasting Muslim, and without reducing something, no matter how less, from his own reward. So the fasting Muslim will have his own complete reward. You that give him the iftar will equally have reward. So during the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, some Sahaba were complaining that they don't have something to give. Then the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, even a cup of water, even a cup of water, and if you don't have, you just welcome your brother and then allowed him to feel at home. All these are part of it. Yes.
All right. So there is usually a hike in price of essential items during this period. What is your advice?
Actually, it's unfortunate when the month of when it comes to the month of Ramadan, where the Muslims all over the world globally are fasting, you find that the prices of essential commodities are skyrocketing. This is very unfortunate, and sometimes it is the Muslims themselves that participated in increasing the prices. Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam says, "Irhamu man fil ardi, yarhamukum man fis sama." That you should sympathize with those on the earth. That in who is in the heaven, that is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, will equally sympathize with you. So what is supposed to be done is, when it comes to the Ramadan, you should be given discount of all the essential commodities to assist the Muslim to find it easy for them to fast. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward you. Therefore, I want to use this opportunity to call upon our Muslim brothers within and outside globally, that they should reduce the prices of their essential commodities for the benefit of our Muslim brothers, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward them abundantly. They will be surprised when they see the reward of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much for coming into our studios for the discussion.
Thank you too. You are welcome.
All right. So now, to our sports updates.